Welcome back to Red's Roundup. In this video, we're going to be looking at why Warren Buffett, Peter Lynch, and other super investors like them, why they don't listen to economists, and why you shouldn't either. Let's start out taking a look at a clip from Warren Buffett.
I don't pay any attention to what economists say, frankly. Well, think about it. I mean, you have all of these economists with 160 IQs that spend their life studying it. Can you name me one super wealthy economist that's ever made money out of securities? You know, I mean, just go down the list.
No.
So there you just saw billionaire investor Warren Buffett talk about why he doesn't listen to economists. He says because they don't do well. And if they don't do well, why should he listen to someone who doesn't know what they're doing? Let's take a perspective from Peter Lynch, another super investor who ran a Magellan fund for Fidelity for many years and had an annualized rate of return of over 25%. It was between 25 and 30%, and that equates to over doubling your money every 3 years. So if you have $100 now, in 3 years it'll be worth $200. That's pretty incredible. Let's look at what he has to say. If you spend 14 minutes a year on macroeconomics, you've wasted 12 minutes. That's by Peter Lynch. So he's saying that you should really only spend 2 minutes a year on macroeconomics. It's just not worth your time if you're going to be an investor in the stock market, if that's what you want to be doing, even if you're an amateur. He said this to a crowd of amateur investors. So let's take a look at that clip.
So I've always said if you spend 14 minutes a year on economics, you've wasted 12 minutes. And I really believe that. Now, I have to be fair. I'm talking about economics in the broad scale, predicting the downturn for next year or the upturn or M1 and M2, 3B and all these M's. I'm talking about economics to me is when you talk about scrap prices.
So in that clip there, you saw Peter Lynch make a distinction between two different types of economics, microeconomics here on the left and macroeconomics here on the right. So what's the difference? Here's the difference. Microeconomics focuses on the small scale of things, so like an individual market, while macroeconomics focuses on the whole economy here. That's GDP. That's the whole economy, gross domestic product. Microeconomics would focus on the effect on price of a good. So how will supply and demand change the effects of price, or how will that affect price? And then macroeconomics focuses on other things. So microeconomics is a lot more scientific. It's a lot more based on facts, and it's a lot more accurate. And it has greater predictive quality too, and you see that in the sciences. Macroeconomics does not have the predictive quality of microeconomics. And we see that here in another quote from Warren Buffett. It is better to be approximately right than precisely wrong. This is a famous quote. So this pretty much means it's better to be, I'm mostly right than, I'm guessing with precision. So you're saying it's 100.159%. You don't want to do that. You just want to say, it's around this. But as long as you're right, that's what's important. So let's move on. Macroeconomists don't win at all. They're bad, like Warren Buffett was saying. They don't invest properly. So why? Why do macroeconomists lose? Well, it's not the goal of macroeconomics to win in the investing game. Macroeconomists have way too much information to work with. It's way too much for one person to decide what to do with. There's GDP, CPI, inflation, money supply, unemployment, employment, labor, you get it, way too many components of the pie of information to understand, for any one person to understand. It's way too academic in nature, so it's focused on trying to understand things that aren't necessarily important to the investing framework that you're adapting to. It's not predictive, so it doesn't predict future events very well, especially in terms of economic investing performance. So this is bad. So what are some solutions? What can you do? What are some solutions for you? When you're investing, look at individual businesses. So go one by one through specific businesses that you might want to invest in. So say you look at Ford, then you look at General Electric, then you look at Tesla, then you look at all different businesses, but look at them one at a time. Don't say, I'm going to look at the entirety of the U.S. economy, or heck, even the world economy. Do you think you're going to understand the world economy in 10 minutes? I don't think so. But you can get a pretty good snapshot of an individual business and how they perform. Invest in what you know. This is the Warren Buffett concept of circle of competence, circle of competency. Him and Charlie Munger came up with that idea. It's invest in things that you understand. And if you don't invest in things you understand, you don't deserve to make money. Peter Lynch talks about this too, and investing what you know. That's a good point. Ignore the talking heads on TV. This is sort of my personal flavor. Don't listen to the people who go on CNBC or Bloomberg or Fox Business or whatever talking about all their predictions, this and that. It's hogwash. You don't need to listen to it. You're better off sticking to what you know and investing in what you know. So let's take a look. Look at individual businesses. Don't look at the market as a whole. If you look at the market as a whole, you're going to perform like the market as a whole. You're not going to beat the market. You're probably going to underperform, actually. Look at one company at a time and look at the microeconomics. The microeconomics, that's key. You remember the micro, that's looking at the small scale of things. Don't look at the big. Look at the small. So look at, like Peter Lynch was saying, used car prices or scrap prices, or if you're in the car industry, the scrap prices, or if you're in the chemical commodity sector, look at the chemical prices. It's that type of stuff. That's a microeconomic lens for things, looking at individual businesses. Invest in what you know. So here's a diagram of the circle of competence as explained by Warren Buffett. So here on the inside, that's your circle of competence, stuff you think you should know or stuff you do know. And then on the outside is stuff you don't know. And you don't want to be messing with stuff you don't know. Only stick to the stuff you know. So stay within your circle of competence. So what does that mean? You look at financial statements for the businesses you know. So if you're, like Peter Lynch says, if you're in the auto dealership business, you're going to know what cars are best, what companies make the best cars. Look at those companies first. Don't speculate. So don't just say, oh, I heard somebody on the bus talking about the Argentina fund. I'm going to go buy the Argentina. Don't do that. That's what Peter Lynch says. That's how you lose money. Don't do that. So thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. This is a little different than my other ones. Please like, subscribe, comment if you want to see more.